Welcome back again to the Cricket Matters podcast. Today we're talking about the benefits of hiring a cricket coach. James, let's start with, in your opinion, what makes a good cricket coach first?
So many different things. Like what makes a good coach? The ability to listen and communicate, and the ability to make the complex easy and simple to understand so the athletes can apply that knowledge. That's probably a good way to put it, actually, because there's so many coaches out there who know the technical data, the ins and outs of how to do something, from perfecting the cover drive. But what does it look like in practical terms? How do you help somebody effectively play that shot when they can't play it at the moment, or something similar? But a coach is more than just a technician teaching people how to do something. He's a mentor. He's got to be a historian of the game. He's got to be a good listener. He's got to be able to be a diplomat sometimes, make the tough calls, and not be afraid to say things that the athletes don't want to hear, I think is important. So there's a multifaceted effect, approach to this, but at the same time they've got to be approachable, easygoing, and friendly. How about that?
Friendly is good, yeah, absolutely. Because if your coach isn't very friendly, it wouldn't be much fun, would it? I think you make a really good point though as well, and this applies to all strength and conditioning coaches, PTs, or any type of coach really, is that taking something complex and making it simple, or simplifying it so your athlete, client, whatever can understand it. That is obviously hugely important. Cool. Why should you then hire a cricket coach? What reason would you hire a cricket coach for?
Well, success leaves clues, right? Let's look at all the most successful players in the game, not just cricket, but any other sport. They all have coaches. They all have mentors they can go and work with and bat ideas off, no pun intended there. And, just throw ideas out there and then try and help them execute a game plan to do it. So if the pros have coaches, why are amateurs not having coaches? Like, obviously, we're going to be extremely biased because we've worked in the coaching industry now for 20 plus years. We're in fitness, now in cricket, in terms of cricket coaching. So, yes, we are biased and say we believe it. But, this is a good point because right after I finish recording this podcast, I'm off to work with Steve James today, right, who's a coach. I'm going to work with him and pay for his services because I want to work and learn and develop my game, even at the ripe old age of 42, right? Because you can never stop learning. So working and finding the right coach to develop your game is fun, it's rewarding, and it helps improve your game. And it often gets you there faster because a lot of the coaches have been there, done that, bought the t-shirt and figured out what you're trying to figure out in the first place. So what may take you 2 or 3 years to figure out on your own, or if at all, these guys have been there, bought the t-shirt. And it's why they played sometimes at the highest levels. In terms of Steve James, he played for England. So he sees things, he knows things that he had to work out for himself, and he got there faster than most. So I can't recommend working with a coach enough for the enjoyment, improvement, and the ability of your game to just like skyrocket through the roof, essentially.
Yeah. Well, even in the health and fitness world where we are, all the best coaches have coaches, right? Mike Boyle, we constantly mention Mike Boyle, and obviously our good friend Dan John. They all have coaches. They're like the best at what they do, but they all have coaches.
Yep, exactly. Well, same here, Josh, with you. You do all my training, all my fitness training, all my strength and conditioning. So I don't do it because I want to feel like an athlete. I'm also very biased in what I would do if I went in the gym. I just do the stuff I'd want to do and enjoy doing. But I don't look at it with a stand back approach, looking with a 40,000 foot overview, whereas I leave all my training down to you. You put it out there, I go and do it, right? And there's a reason for that, because I enjoy it more, but I get better results for it because I'm not doing the same old thing, trying to figure it out my own, or being biased towards what I want to do and not what I don't want to do.
Yeah, I think that's important actually. Even if you've been playing cricket for a long time or training for a long time, like we have, it's important to get that outside eye, right? Because you could write your own training plan, but as you say, you'd be a little bit of a biased point of view, and you'd essentially just program stuff that you really like doing, not necessarily what you need as well.
Exactly. And I'll give an example of what Steve So with me, he saw my hand, when I'm batting, he saw instantly, my hands weren't going back. My hands weren't going back in the flow. I was just cocking the wrist and not generating as much power. And as a result, my bat path wasn't coming down as straight as what it should do. Such a simple thing and fix, but he saw it instantly that I haven't been able to see myself because I got my own coach's eye, but I'm not looking at me because you're always going to be biased against yourself. I never see these things. So that's exactly why I'm working with him and doing those little tweaks and those changes, because he's seen it and we're working together. It's had a massive effect onto my game. I'm definitely striking the ball harder. I'm definitely striking the ball straighter. And I feel my back path is now coming in where I feel to. So I feel more relaxed and confident at the crease as well. So, it's a huge thing. Such a minor change. Takes a long time to impact it because there's been a lot of work working on it since then. But it's had a profound effect on my game, all because I sought out a help of another coach who I feel could benefit my game.
Well, he's got a lot of experience. He's got a good coach's eye, obviously, hasn't he? As well with his experience, he's as you say, it's such a small thing, but he's noticed it straight away. Because that was going to be my next question. Like, do cricket coaches make a difference? And obviously, in your case, he's made a really big difference for you, hasn't he?
Oh, massive. And it's not just Steve. Like, a shout out to all the guys I've worked with, since coming back into the world of cricket. Ali is the mainstay at Cardiff Cricket Club. I see him a lot at Cardiff, and he's the guy that does a lot of stuff with me day in, day out. He does the grunt work, I think is the fair thing to say, that he's there in season. He keeps me grounded. But then I'm a big fan of working with different coaches with different ideas, because we've always done this in our training, our strength and conditioning work that we do, is we go out there and learn from some of the best coaches out there and take the best bits of their system that fit our system, and it makes us better coaches in our own style, right? So it's the same with you. Each batsman is unique. You should never try and be the exact same as somebody else, right? Except if you want to be Joe Root or Virat Kohli, for example, in terms of batting. However, you've got to mold it to your own style. So again, have a coach you can go back and trust. You can bounce ideas off and they see you day in, day out. And yes, don't be afraid to go and work with other coaches that may complement what you're doing already, because they may bring something different to your game that other people haven't seen before. But also, they may bring stuff to your game that may not work. So don't be afraid to discard it as well. Don't try and implement everything that they say, because some coaches are very specific. They want you to do exactly as they say, whereas we're of the approach where we're comfortable with all our athletes working with other coaches as long as it benefits their game. We're more than happy to do that. But at the same time, acknowledge that some of these things may or may not work. And if they don't work, put them in a locker straight away. There's a few examples of that with my game in the last 12 months that I've had to discard, even though some really good coaches have said I should try and do this. It just didn't work. It didn't correlate to more runs batting at the top of the order.
There we go. So that's like more the technical side of the game. What about the mental side, the strategic side? Can coaches help with that side of things?
Yeah, massive. In terms of thinking about game plans. Again, I'm going to stick on the batting front here now because it's easier for me to correlate, because that's something I've been working on a lot myself recently. So once you have technique down to a good enough standard to play the game, then it becomes when you're playing the mental challenges. And the mental side of things, as you see in our cricket coaching method, we want to get the physical side of things right first, then the mental, then we work on technical. So coaches can help with the mental side to help you come up with plans and strategies to deal with the stress of playing in the situation, playing the game, okay, as we speak. So you may be at the top of the innings, starting the innings, the first innings, or you may be coming in 5 and 6 and you have to close the game off. Like, what is your strategy against fast bowlers? Where are you going to score runs? So coaches can help you develop ideas and strategies to help control the situation, to dominate the bowlers. So again, I think we'll do another podcast specifically about spin, how I've changed my game to spin in the last 6 months. But, what's your strategy to certain spinners? What are you trying to do? How are you trying to dominate them to make sure they don't stay in control of you? So the coach can have a back and forth idea, see what your strengths, see what your weaknesses are, and try and implement plans to be able to do that so you can execute them in the game properly. So it's way more than just technical. It's the actual strategy of the game too, that sometimes you can't always figure out on your own. We're sometimes our own worst enemy. Therefore, having somebody you can trust, like a confidant and a mentor, to discuss these things is so important, because they can be the clarity to help you see and realize what your goals are and objectives on the cricket field.
Fantastic. Those are some great benefits of hiring a cricket coach. Any final thoughts as we sum up?
Well, I think if you've never invested in a cricket coach, your growth in the game is always going to be stunted. I think that's really important distinction to make here. The pros do it. So therefore, as an amateur, why are you not doing it? Now, I understand financial aspects may be a problem, and I totally understand that because it is expensive to hire a cricket coach. However, if you can't do that, invest in time looking at YouTube. There's loads of videos on YouTube. Read our blogs if you want to. Listen to the podcast like we're talking about now. But you can always do training on your own. Buy a feed buddy or something like that to help you with your game. Go and practice down the nets more often. But find somebody, if you really want to improve your game, to bounce ideas off, to take you to that next level, whether it's technical, whether it's mental, or whether it's strategy involved. I can't recommend it enough, but make sure you find the right coach, because sometimes you can always find the wrong coach that doesn't suit your style or your needs to.
There we go. Thank you very much, mate. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And if you would like our free training plan, then go to cricketmatters.com/train.